For 30 years, Europe burned. From Prague to Paris, from the Baltic to the Alps, a storm of religion, politics, and power tore a continent apart. It began with faith and ended with fire. This is the story of the 30 Years, or the bloodiest conflict of early modern Europe and the war that reshaped the world forever. Welcome to Forge Historic, where we bring the forgotten wars back to life. If you believe history still speaks, listen closely. It's the spring of 1618. The Holy Roman Empire is a patchwork of kingdoms and faiths: Catholics, Lutherans, and Calvinists struggling to coexist after the Reformation. But in the Kingdom of Bohemia, the fragile peace shatters. Bohemian nobles, furious at Emperor Ferdinand II's attempts to impose Catholic rule, storm Prague Castle. They seize 2 royal governors and throw them out a 3rd-story window. This event, known as the Defenestration of Prague, is the spark. The men survive the fall, but the empire does not. This single act ignites a war that will consume the heart of Europe for 3 decades. By 1619, the Bohemian rebels elect their own Protestant king, Frederick V, the so-called Winter King. In response, the Catholic Emperor Ferdinand II, backed by Spain and the Pope, moves to crush them. On November 8, 1620, the 2 sides meet at the Battle of White Mountain, just outside Prague. In less than 2 hours, the professional forces of the Catholic League, led by Count Tilly, completely annihilate the Bohemian army. Frederick flees into exile, and the rebellion collapses. Ferdinand reclaims Bohemia, enforcing Catholicism with an iron hand. But the fire of rebellion has already spread, jumping from Bohemia to Germany to Denmark to Sweden and beyond. The Holy Roman Empire wasn't a single nation, but a messy collection of hundreds of states, princes and city republics, each with its own army and its own ambitions. Out of this chaos, a new kind of power rises: the professional mercenary. One man embodies this new era of warfare: Albrecht von Wallenstein. A brilliant but ruthless Bohemian noble turned general, he raises a massive private army for the emperor, funded not by loyalty but by plunder. His soldiers live off the land, taking whatever they need. In the process, Germany begins to starve. By 1625, entire regions lie in ruin, villages are burned, and the civilian population suffers immensely. And the war is far from over. Across the Baltic Sea, another Protestant power enters the fray: Christian IV, king of both Denmark and Norway. He sees himself as the protector of the Protestant German states. But he also has his own ambitions to expand his influence in Northern Europe. His campaign, however, is met with disaster. At the Battle of Lutter in August 1626, his Danish army is annihilated by the combined imperial and Catholic forces under the command of Wallenstein and Tilly. By 1629, a defeated Christian IV signs the Treaty of Lubeck, ending Denmark's involvement in the war. He returns home, his treasury empty and his ambitions crushed. For the Protestants of Germany, hope once again seems lost. But from the frozen north, a new lion rises: Gustavus Adolphus, the King of Sweden, young, brilliant, and a devout Lutheran. In June 1630, he lands his highly disciplined army on the German coast, vowing to defend the Protestant cause and reshape the balance of power in Europe. In 1631, at the Battle of Breitenfeld, Gustavus faces Count Tilly's powerful army. His revolutionary tactics, including mobile artillery and disciplined, rotating lines of musketeers, change warfare forever. The result is a stunning Protestant victory. For the first time in over a decade, hope returns to the Protestant states. But fate is cruel. A year later, at the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, Gustavus leads his men through thick fog and heavy fire, and falls in battle. The Lion of the North is dead, yet his roar continues to echo across Europe. With Gustavus gone, the war spirals further into chaos. Armies fight without a clear cause, discipline breaks down, and mercenaries switch sides for better pay. Villages burn, and disease spreads like wildfire. The Battle of Enterdlingen, in September 1634, delivers another crushing blow to the Protestant cause, as the Swedes are routed by a combined Spanish and imperial army. Cities like Magdeburg are completely erased from the map, its inhabitants massacred by the thousands. Famine and plague kill far more civilians than the battles themselves. For the ordinary people of Germany, The war has become a living hell, an apocalyptic nightmare with no end in sight. Just when the war seems won for the Catholic Habsburgs, another major power joins the conflict: France. Though a Catholic kingdom, France, led by the calculating Cardinal Richelieu, fears being encircled by the powerful Habsburg Empire. Richelieu makes a bold, strategic move, siding with the Protestant nations of Sweden and the Netherlands against the Catholic Emperor in Spain. Now Europe's two great Catholic powers, France and Spain, are at war with each other. The 30 Years' War is no longer about faith. It has become a brutal, continent-wide struggle for political dominance, a fight for balance and survival. Between 1635 and 1640, battles rage across France, the Netherlands, and the Rhineland. The conflict has become a total war, leaving Germany to collapse deeper into misery. After more than 2 decades of relentless slaughter, exhaustion finally sets in. Generals have grown old, empires have grown poor, and even the taste of victory feels hollow. In 1643, a brilliant young French general, Louis II de Conde, leads his army to a decisive victory over the legendary Spanish tercios at the Battle of Rocroi. This battle marks a turning point, signaling the end of Spanish military supremacy in Europe. But the fighting drags on for 5 more agonizing years. From Westphalia to Saxony, towns continue to change hands, soldiers continue to die, and civilians suffer endlessly. By 1648, everyone from kings and generals to the starving peasants wants one thing: peace. After months of painstaking negotiation in the Westphalian towns of Munster and Osnabrück, the Peace of Westphalia is finally signed in October 1648. For the first time, European nations agree to coexist, respecting each other's religious choices. The treaty redefines the concept of sovereignty, establishing that each ruler could determine their own state's religion. The Holy Roman Empire survives, but only as a shell of its former self. Spain's power begins to fade, while France rises as the new dominant force on the continent. The Netherlands and Switzerland gain their full independence. Modern diplomacy is born. The idea of national borders and a balance of power begins right here. After 30 years of blood and fire, peace finally returns. But it came at a terrible cost. Over 8 million dead and entire generations scarred by war. The 30 Years' War was not one war, but many. It began as a religious dispute and ended as the birth of the modern world. It destroyed the remnants of medieval feudalism, shattered empires, and gave birth to the nation-state. It taught Europe a brutal but necessary lesson, that peace must be negotiated, not imposed by force. For the peasants who lost their homes, the mothers who lost their sons, and the soldiers who never returned, it was a generation lost to madness. But from the ashes of ruin, new ideas emerged: diplomacy and balance. These were the very lessons that would later guide the Enlightenment and shape the modern world we live in today. The 30 Years' War ended in 1648, but its echoes can still be heard in every border, every treaty, and every war that followed. Because history does not fade, it whispers through the ruins, and those who listen will never forget. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support our channel and explore more forgotten histories with us.